I'm currently editing the episode, and let me tell you, when I put together the idea of cultural diversity and culture and I invited my guests, I did not expect a single second how deep and insightful and just full of knowledge, but also fun this episode will be. And let me tell you, I'm obsessed. I really hope you enjoy it. Welcome to the Lead Show. I'm your host, Serene, and we are back with our fourth episode entitled The Importance of Culture and Cultural Societies in University Life. I'll now introduce to you our guests.
Hi guys, I'm Maya. I'm your president for Lead Society, and I'm also part of Bengali Society and Nepalese Society.
Hi guys, my name is Malcolm, and I'm the president of ABACUS this year.
Hello guys, my name is Yahya, and I'm the president of the Arab Society.
Hi guys, my name is Abraham and I'm the events officer for Warwick African and Caribbean Society.
I'd like to start by thanking our guests for being here, and I hope we're going to have a fun time today. So I just want to start by asking you guys, just so our audience knows you better, what are your origins? What are your cultural references? Like, what do you feel like you belong to, in a sense? I will start with myself. I'm Tunisian, so I'm Arab, I'm North African. I also grew up in Qatar, so that gives some diversity to it. I speak French and Arabic. I also learned Mandarin, so that's a pretty cool thing.
Ni hao.
But ni hao. In fact, ni hao. Do you want to go next, Maya?
Yes, hi. I'm Bengali. That's it really, I guess. I lived in South Korea for 1 year. I've studied Korean language as well. And I have family across the globe and I like to travel.
Hi guys, I'm Irish, so 25%. The other 75% is Chinese. And I was born in Malaysia, and I moved here when I was 2. So I'm kind of been around everywhere, but so I think it's given like a unique perspective on culture within and or from the outside of like East Asian society, really.
So hello everyone, as I mentioned, I'm from the Arab Society, so I am Arab. I'm originally from Egypt. I've born and raised in Egypt. Lived in Saudi Arabia for about 8 years, Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. I've moved around a lot in Egypt, whether in Egypt and Saudi and Jeddah, and then I came here to England about 6 years ago, living in Leicester. And as you can, what's my cultural reference? I am Arab through and through. Some people like to claim I'm North African. Geographically, yes, I'm North African.
Culturally,
Culturally, I'd say I'm very Arab, especially saying that I lived in Saudi Arabia for so many years. But yeah, Masr الدنيا.
Aywa.
Yeah, so I'm Eritrean, but my parents are Eritrean, but I was born and raised in North London, Tottenham. I studied English at school.
Love that.
but in terms of my cultural references, East African and Black, and I guess I'm part of that scene at work.
Perfect. You guys can keep the mic on that side because I'll start with you, Yahya.
Oh, great.
My first question would be, what does culture mean to you? And how does your culture impact your daily life?
So, culture pretty much shapes, I'd argue, a majority of your identity and your fundamentals and principles. So, culture really does mean pretty much everything of who you are, what your principles are, what your philosophies are. They all do stem from your culture. This whole argument about nature versus nurture. A lot of it is nurture. So obviously I grew up as Arab. I grew up as a Muslim as well. That brings up a lot of my philosophies and a lot of my principles. What was the second part of that question?
How does it impact your daily life compared to other people?
Oh, massively. In our culture, as you know, me and Sarah are Arab.
Yeah, we share the same culture.
Anything that happens, let's say anything bad happens to you, in our culture, there's always a way or a philosophy of how to deal with certain situations and how to navigate certain situations. So you have this guideline that's been given to you inherently by your culture. So the way you deal with situations and the way you deal with circumstances are given to you by this guideline that you've been given from the culture that you've been handed, really. Who should I give it to next?
Very, very wise words. Does anyone have anything to say about how their culture impacts who they are?
I think my culture that I come from impacts who I am or my day-to-day life a lot. I would agree what you said about nature versus nurture, about nurture being a very big part of that, because I do believe that you are a product of your environment, and I've been raised with Eritrean values, respecting your elders, there's certain traditions that are very important to me, and certain traditions that as I've gotten older I've appreciated more. And especially coming to uni, and being separated from my household, my very Eritrean
Definitely,
household,
definitely,
you
yes.
appreciate it more when you want to kind of come back.
Exactly.
You know, I'm eating the food and it's like, I actually,
Yes,
not,
volumes, yes.
you can't buy it from Tesco,
Yes,
you know?
exactly.
So, but yeah, it affected my you know, my morals, my values, the way I interact with other people, other cultures as well.
Very true,
But,
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I bounce off of that because on top of being the host, I'm also a cultural person. I believe that my culture literally is one of the defining points of who I am, and that is one of the things that makes me me. That's why when I introduce myself, or if I ever have a deep talk with someone and they ask me what like I like or what my passions are, I always say that there are three non-negotiables, which are my religion, my country and my culture, and my family. And I sorry, I hear people that are very much uh they just find that weird and surprising in a sense, but it seems so in it to me because if I wasn't Tunisian, I wouldn't be Serene. Like, yeah, you know, like it makes a big part of who I am. So it's definitely a big blessing, I'd say. And bouncing off of what you said, especially being in the UK for the first time, damn, I realized how blessed I was to be in a country that was aligned with my culture in a sense, and just I could see people because I didn't grow up in my home country, but I still grew up in an Arab country, and I could see people that just think more like me and act like me. But that's also a way for me to be even more open to other cultures here. So it's a blessing in disguise, truly. Do you have anything to add, Malcolm?
Not so as eloquently as these two put it. However, I will say one thing. I think when you talk about culture, it's not in its own bubble because the discussion about culture and its impact in life is discussion of your whole life because it is really that defining thing. It impacts everything. The way you dress, the way you interact with other people, the way you perceive the world around you, that is and will only ever be shaped by the people you've had around you. And obviously, nature has its impact, but I really am a big advocate that you are a product of your environment.
To take the topic a bit more lightly, because I want us to have a nuanced discussion.
Sorry, yeah.
No,
I got a bit deep
no. We all went deep with it because culture is really something, as I just mentioned, that is proper to our identity. Like you really can't change that almost. So just I wanted to go around, and if you could tell me, it's fine if you need some time to think, but something that just your favorite thing about your culture, something light, something fun. Could be food, could be music.
I think we're all gonna say the same thing.
Yeah.
So other than the obvious ones like food, all that stuff. So let's maybe talk about our Arab identity. Arabs are mainly either Muslim, Christians, or Jewish, and I think all of these Abrahamic religions are so closely intertwined within Arabs, especially like even the Christians are Orthodox Christians and the Jewish are Orthodox Jewish and the Muslims are Muslims. So my favorite thing about my culture is the level of discipline and respect that there is. If let's say go to Arab countries, the level of respect people have for each other, whether it's for elders, people passing by the street. If I go in Egypt right now and anything happened to me, I drop on the floor, I know for a fact that I will not be left alone.
Everyone will stop.
Everyone will scramble to come and help me. So what I really love about my culture, how everyone just genuinely love each other for the sake of their own gods. And then the level of respect and discipline that we have, despite the contrary popular beliefs here in the West.
Very, very, very true.
Who wants to go next?
I can go, but everyone wants.
Okay, go.
I guess my my favorite thing about being Eritrean is the respect that is required for elders. I feel that one thing I've learned growing up, especially being separated from my household, is that when an older person speaks, you listen. Although I do believe that people of the same age,
of course,
you can guide each other.
Some people.
Very true, very true. But especially the history of Eritrea, me being a historian myself, history student, the respect towards elders, especially your parents, or a lot of there's a whole generation of Eritreans who were directly involved in the liberation of Eritrea and its independence. Even a lot of my people in my family, my father even, were involved in that. So I have the privilege that a lot of people that in other cultures don't have of being literally, I can see history if I take the bus to Camden, you know, every time, you know. So yeah, I think it's like my privilege of being so close to history every day. Yeah.
Martin, you can just go for it.
Food.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
And the values that it instills. I think you've talked enough about this.
Yeah.
The music is really good.
I was gonna touch up on that.
Okay, hold on. Let me talk about it. If you don't know about this already, listen to some Arab music. Oh my god, you're never gonna move the same ever. Like,
Never.
listen. If anyone wants a good Arab playlist, just find me on. You're gonna find me Warwick Arabsoc. Say Yahya, I need to talk to you. Send me your playlist.
Oh, you do plugs already?
Send me your playlist, and oh my god, you're gonna have the best music. You've heard some music in our stores.
Yeah, and also it's like even like I'm a big hip hop head, R&B head, and like Timbaland used a lot of his music he did with like Aaliyah. A lot of it was like directly sampled from like Arab songs. A lot of like your like some like More Than a Woman by Aaliyah is sampled from like I think it was like an Iranian song. But yeah, yeah.
They don't get Iranians get offended when you call them Arab.
I know, but like there's a lot of like Arab, also like South Asian influence as well.
Mina.
Yeah.
Let's say Mina. Middle East, North Africa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, Maya, do you want to go?
Yeah, so with like Bengali culture, obviously the food, you have to mention that. And we love spice, so like naga is like a very popular.
Swear Bengali people, they love fish as well, don't you?
I actually love fish. Like I know people like honestly, like people joke about Bengalis and fish, but I will hands on say I love fish. Like it's the best. Like it's one of our largest produces we have. And yeah, like I have fish all the time. It's great. But just generally, food is great, and also family values is similar, like we've mentioned before. Like if I see like an auntie on the street, like. And I know she's Bengali, I just feel at home. When you see people from your cultural identity and background, you just feel safe. Yeah. Like you see like an uncle who's like lost, you try best to help them out. So I think that's something nice as well. Like the community spirit that's there. Like even if they're not your auntie or actual uncle, it's still auntie and uncle. I think that's something really nice about like Bengali culture.
Yeah. Tunisians love chili, that's all I know.
See that, Lisa? Yes, our music definitely. That's something like that's. Ya Baba Wassalam Alik, Ya Baba. Yes. But something else, like a bit deeper, is Tunisians just have this sense of optimism, which when people usually meet me, they're like, "Oh, you're always laughing, you're always happy." That is true, but that's also how my people are in a sense. Obviously, not all Tunisians are like that, but we are very much a population from our history probably, and the way we were brought up, probably religion too. A population that just, when, just to put it like stereotypically, when a dad is able to provide his family, or a mom, provide their family with food and just, I don't know, going to the beach in the summer, because we're very much a beach country, they're just happy. They're just grateful. You know, there is ambition, there is all of that, but there's just this sense of gratitude that is just very missed in other cultures.
And I
if
think
I'm honest.
I think maybe to explore this deeper on what you're saying,
Yeah.
I think us as Arab people and North Africans, the amount of anguish and like that we had to go through in recent history,
Exactly.
and then we did not turn away in the face of
Exactly.
adversity. We just kept
We keep
pushing
smiling.
through.
We keep
Keep on smiling, like all these things have the Arab Spring, the Gulf War, everything that's
Exactly.
happening. And look at us still smiling with a little Arab music. And I think it's turned this thing into Arabs. We are the most ambitious, hopeful people,
we
and we're
are.
so optimistic.
we are.
We're so in the face of any horrors. We're still like, yeah,
Mhm.
we're cool, and we have very strong faith.
Exactly.
When
That's
anything
what
happens.
makes us like that. Yeah. And something to add too for Tunisians in general is that we have some of the strongest women you'll ever find. So in terms of like first Arab woman to do anything, first African woman to do something, we are on the leaderboards, and that's something also that is part of my identity in a sense. So I think that's something I'm very grateful for. So now I want to go more to the second part of the episode, which is more about the cultural societies themselves and less of your culture. And it would be what is your favorite thing or your favorite experiences about being in a cultural society in a university in the UK?
So as a member, my favorite thing really was having that sense of community straight from the get-go, because it's like you guys were talking about earlier. You see someone of your culture, and you think you can give them a look, and you know what's up, right? So that was one of my favorite things about being a member, is that you kind of have that kind of same set of values that you already have straight from the get-go. So maybe similar sense of humor. Like it's a lot easier to get along. with each other. And now as a president, what my favorite thing has been this year is really showing people what Chinese culture is like, and Chinese and East Asian culture is like, because we're very diverse even within ABACUS. I love dragging people into our events who might feel uncomfortable, because obviously you go on an event, you think, oh, 90 out of 100 people here are East Asian. What am I going to do, right? But I love it when they actually end up having a great time. And really, it's less about a thing of like, I'm not trying to gatekeep this culture. It's like, this is a culture for everyone to enjoy.
Yes.
And it wouldn't be right for me to say, oh, you're not this kind of person, so you can't come. Absolutely not. I think I'd respect someone more if, despite those differences, they still turn up and they still have a great time.
Definitely. Very good
Let's go
point.
to Abraham then.
Yeah, so first year being part of the African Caribbean Society, ACS, I did enjoy the community a lot, and it was something to, it was just also at the same time, it's just something to do as well. Like there's some days where, you know, you do your assignments, whether you're finished. It happens.
Sorry. Happens to everyone. It just happens. Keep going. I'm not gonna cut that out. That happens.
But it's like for a lot of people that they don't go clubbing, they don't do like, you know, they come to university with like certain values, and a lot of cultural societies, especially ACS, they offer a way for you to be able to have fun that for everyone.
It's not like linked to drinking or partying
Yes,
and all of
yeah.
that. Yeah,
And it's like, and it's sober, and but also it's like, you know, becoming an exec. My favorite thing about the society is just that the exec, like working with the exec, like coming. A lot of us were like from like different friend groups.
Yes.
Like I feel like sometimes that's the best way, because you come together through hardship, and like, because sometimes being an exec for the society is quite hard.
It is. It
And,
has its challenges.
You bond, and it's like I've bonded with them so much, and like the things we were able to build so far, it's been amazing, and I know that we're going to be able to build more amazing things throughout the year.
This is making me emotional. This is nice.
So I'm gonna go with the same template that these two went through, which is like my favorite thing as being a member and then as a president. So as a member, like you said, it's just the feeling of home. Like I've lived here in the UK for 6 years. Like I've met some Arabs here and there, but then having that hub of people that are very similar to me in my way of thinking, that was huge for me. You remember like the first few times I tried Arabsoc, I was like so like, I was so excited, and just meeting my people, and even us Egyptians was just loud in that nature, and finding people that are not put off by that like loudness was very nice. I'm bonded, and I'm some of my closest friends that I have right now come from the Arab Society. But then as an exec, as president, more specifically, was very interesting is actually then finding out as president, because everything now flows through you. It's actually really getting really intimate of the intricacies of the different subcultures within the Arab culture. So like the different subculture of like the North African culture, the Gulf culture, the Levantine culture.
Different resistance, the different like.
Like the different, like there's intricacies, different cultures, and now I'm so much more knowledgeable, much more empathetic now with my people and what they've gone.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, and what's really important now is actually now dealing with Arab people on a position of power, now being president. You get to really understand how us Arab people and the way we think really reflects and manifests in politics. And I have a much deeper understanding now of, okay, this is what Arab politics is like, because we Arab people act this way.
And you can even see the nuances between countries. I don't know if you can take it that far.
Oh no, 100% you can. Like
I see it, like
you can definitely see like, oh, okay, so you kind of extrapolate with the politics happening on this society. You can extrapolate it to like a larger level of the actual countries. Like, oh, I kind of get what's happening now. You know what I mean? And it's been very, very informative, and I've become much more empathetic, and that's what I love about it.
It's crazy because it shows how much our culture, just like even the political culture we grow in, or like I don't know if it's the politics that shapes us or we shape the politics, but it's very interlinked.
Yeah, and like. Yeah, you can definitely see like Arab people and why the political landscape is the way it is and things like that. It's very interesting. It's very, very, very interesting.
I mean, touching on that, like I actually studied like Arab politics. I'm a politics student. I have to put that out there. It's actually very interesting to just see the different like countries and how they interact. And within the region, it's more complicated than you think. It's not just like the Arab culture as a whole. Like it's split. Like everyone has the different cultures and identities. And also like to touch on like the whole question with like Bengali culture. So when I actually started university, I knew like one or two Bengali people, and that's it. And I was like, what? There's only a few of us. And then over the years of me being here in university, because I'm doing my master's now, so I've actually seen the transition throughout university. Like it's. I was waiting. I was like, look at her back. Like, look at her back. I'm not good. Yes. Back to it. I've actually seen the transition over time, and society has grown. Like we actually have enough people to form societies. People that do turn up. So when I do see people who are Bengali, I'm like, oh my gosh, like come to this society. Because when I first started university, there was no one there. It's nice to know that you have like a home away from home, and especially like East London in general, there's Bengalis everywhere. Like it's literally Bangladesh at that point. Yeah, like honestly, like regardless of everyone in East London, so it's just nice to like have another community here as well. And also, I'm part of like Nepalese society. I'm actually not Nepalese, but my friends, like I've met a good group of people and actually hang around with them every day, and I just like love learning about their culture and the environment, and they're such good people. So it's like culture societies are not just for people from that cultural background. You can join societies and have your friends, and it's okay. So like,
I'll say something about Nepalese society though. So I'll say something about Nepalese. I've never been to any of the events, but their stall was opposite to me in the Freshers Fair. They are so happy.
Yeah.
They're just so smiley and happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're really happy. And think about like, everyone's welcome. Like the big thing about Arab society is it's an Arab culture society. It's not a society for Arab people. One of our execs, she's Indian. Everyone's welcome. Our next event, so many like everyone's coming. Everyone's coming. So everyone's coming. Like whether like there's like East Asians, South Asians, Caribbean people are coming. Everyone's coming, and it's so like, oh yes, I get to show my Arab culture. I get to show them the music, and I'm very happy. I'm very happy about that. You had something to say, by the way.
Because like also like on bounce off we said quickly about about it being Arab culture. ACS, a lot of people see it as like black society, but like of course like you said, there's North Africans, the Africans who are white, that's white South Africans. There are a lot of people in the Caribbean who you wouldn't see as black. South Asians in the Caribbean. So like ACS, like a lot of people have like the thing with black, but we're really not a black society, and we like now more than ever like us is that we've set a precedent of like welcoming everyone, even if you're not from the Africa or the Caribbean. But also, like what you said about you being really excited for Arabs, like going back to like just before I started first year. I remember just before I started first year, I brought my membership for ACS and East African Society before I even stepped foot on campus. And because I'm like shout out to the last exec for us, because Josh, I really feel like our exec, we're standing on the shoulders of giants, because they did so well. They really put Warwick ACS on the map for us to be able to do what we're doing now. But yeah,
it's a beautiful society. I love the vibes.
I appreciate it a lot.
But yeah, what was my last question? Sorry, people watching, we're just having a conversation.
What did I ask you guys? Because I wanted to answer my own question.
Like culture societies.
Because the point I wanted to go back to, I knew I had a point, was how during first year, because I am 7 hours flight away and in a new country that I've never been to. I'm the only one here that was not in the UK. So I think that adds like another layer to it, because the first time I joined Arab society and I just saw the vibes and the people, like, I don't know if you remember, we all instantly clicked. It's something so different that I cherish so much. And even now that I'm not on the exec, I can tell you, like, I'm so excited for the next event because I just know.
You guys all are invited.
You're invited. Yeah. Courtesy of Arabsoc. But yeah, no, it's just overall good vibes, and cultures really do unite people. So going off of that point, I just wanted to ask, are your friends, your close ones, and we're going to try and keep this short because I have other questions that are a bit longer and we don't want to go over time, but are your friends in general from the same culture as you? If yes, no, why?
I would say in uni, definitely, definitely like African Caribbean, definitely, because one of the exec was saying this before. My experience at work, especially because I was freshers rep for ACS in first year, so a lot of my experience has been centered around the ACS. It's been a lot similar to that of like a HBCU in America, historically black college / university in America. So like a lot of my friends I met for ACS, for ABACUS, different sizes like that, are from Africa or the Caribbean. But it's like that. If you think, oh my god, man, all these people, this is diverse,
Yeah.
until you go to your lectures,
Yeah.
and then you remember, wait, I forgot. I forgot. I did have
love it.
I did have one seminar though. History of Africa from 1800 in first year, and that was very diverse. Even like there was a lot of like different types of people who took that course, which is very cool. But yeah, definitely similar. But as I went through first year now, and then definitely also like second year, I'm people from different cultures as well. I did make an effort to make people from the same culture because in my sixth form I have a lot of white friends, and that's completely fine. But like I want to make up for it. Come and see me. And I think my friends are saying, when you go in, you have to make up for it. Like, literally. So yeah.
I love it.
I think it's a very interesting question because, okay, so my closest friend, you know him obviously, he's an Arab as well, and I think that came about and how we became friends is through the Arab society and working together in the Arab society. So being exec, all of you know, you just have to get close to your team.
You do.
You just have to get close to your team. It kind of it kind of forces you to get close to your
You
team.
either get close or it just I hear society that just go in shambles.
Yeah. So
And
obviously,
that's not a good side.
so that was just it forced us and invited to be friends together. Some of my really, really close friends are actually like, other than, where my other really close friends come from, they're like Pakistani Indians as well, and that comes from the Islamic society where I chill around a lot.
So
that's
there's like a middle ground. Type
Yeah. But the house that I'm living in now, I'm living with Russians,
That's
British
cool.
whites, Indians. Like, listen.
Why are you saying it as if it was like
Mr. Worldwide, like I'm with everyone. I'm with everyone. So like I think for me, I'm friends with all cultures. Like I can connect with them all. Like even my friend in sixth form, he was a British white. Took him with me to Egypt. Everyone showed him around.
Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah. However, all of you can probably know, it's just sometimes just clicks so like
It's
because
just different.
it's
And
just-
it's like it's a friend. I don't know if it's the same for you, but it's friends you do other things with.
Yeah.
But then people from your culture, it's just like you can just exist.
You're
If
trapped.
that makes sense.
Yeah, and then let's say there's like something let's say you went through something really bad in your life, and there's like something like, oh, you really need advice, you need some consultation. If you go to your friend from the same culture, they know how you think. They know how you operate and
They
why
will
you're
take
upset.
into account the same factors, like
Yeah, exactly.
family factors, culture
Yeah.
like they know how it is. It's like when you're saying the story to someone from a different culture, even though that's completely fine. My closest friends are not from my culture.
Yeah,
But you have to explain the
like, oh, this is why
the
I'm feeling this way.
constraints,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. It's so that's the thing. Like, being from education does actually, it's a really huge stepping stone for a
makes
beautiful
it easier.
friendship.
Yeah.
I found historically, I've been in North London. There's not actually a large like East Asian population there, so I do have like a huge mix of friends in London. However, in Warwick, it's more so been East Asians,
That's
Filipinos,
interesting, yeah.
Cambodians, Indonesians, and Chinese. So that has been the main demographic. I think, like touching on what you guys just said, it really is about like how easy it is to connect, and even like because we have to kind of come. If we have to go to our events, don't we, isn't it?
Of course.
Yeah. So like, exactly. Yeah. So like, you're bound to make friends then. Like, you only have so much time in a day, so the places where you really choose to put that time and energy
Are the
is
ones
where
that grow
you're gonna reap the friendships, and so there is a bit of a almost like slanted perspective here because I think the average person wouldn't have such a
Definitely
non-diverse
That is a
perspective, like not perspective, but like group of friends. But in the situation that we're in, it is more likely for us to have that kind of. In the cultural side, our friendships are more tilted towards one side.
Yeah. Makes sense. Do you want to go now?
Yeah. Like obviously we all spoke about friendships within our cultures, but I think I wanted to touch on like friendships outside of it too. So like when I went to Korea, it was a completely different culture shock there, making friends, meeting new people. And I think generally when you come to university, like we mentioned, you make friends with people who are like similar to you culturally, or like from London. Naturally, like when you meet people from London and you're from London,
It's like you can tell by the way that. Yes.
yeah, like it's
Okay, you know,
And then no, and then they start talking about the different areas of London, and that's when I get lost.
Leicester's not London. Leicester is
And
too
they're like
far out.
South London, North.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
I came to uni really excited for people who were not from London.
Everyone's from London, yeah.
Everyone's from South, bro.
everyone. I'm personal. I love myself.
I learned so much about geography.
Yes.
See, I'm still very lost. I'm like, are you guys done? Like, can we just move on to something else?
It just happens. Like,
you know the park beside the house. I'm behind that building, and I'm like,
Why is that from north to ever in south?
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
like just generally, like when you see people from London, like you click instantly. But also like going to like university, you meet so many different people from different cultures. Like you have to learn to adjust to meeting people from different backgrounds, and you have different interests too. And it's just nice to learn about their cultural identity too. So like me going to Korea, it was a complete shock just generally. And I'm like, okay, like I'm not in the UK anymore. It's not a diverse place. Like I kind of remember that I'm a brown person, I'm a person of color. I was like, shit, like I'm a person of color, you know, you just forget that. But like it's so interesting to learn about how people live their day-to-day life, and especially in universities, people from all over the world. And generally I have so much more respect for international students. Like before I went abroad, I just never thought to make friends with international students because naturally I just got drawn to home students from London. But when I became an international student, I realized how hard it was to actually adjust. So like, you know, like credit to you. It's tough out there, different culture, environment. You just start from scratch.
I had never been to the UK. Like I just got popped in. My parents didn't come with me. No one came with me. I just came with my 7 suitcases and moved in. Yeah. But it's been an incredible experience. But something else I'd want to add is the fact that we are very blessed to be in a country that's this culturally diverse. Honestly, because I have friends that are in different countries, not to name drop any countries, but I think we all know some countries that are pretty not very tolerant towards other cultures, if that makes sense. We'll keep it at that. But the experience is massively different for me compared to them. I don't feel like an outsider so much because almost everyone is an outsider, if that makes sense. Like everyone has their own history and heritage. Yes. So that's a very good thing. I would have one last big loaded question, and the others were just going to be to conclude. It would be, do you believe, it's a bit of a philosophical one, we should strive to fit in certain ways, or in a society like this, like in a university setting, or stick completely to our culture? Like where would you stand in that point?
So when you say fit in, do you mean in terms of like the way you act?
Interpret it as you want.
I think people will never really get as far as they want in life if they choose to stay within the small bubble that they are comfortable in. Like it's always about pushing outside your comfort zone, and then now that discomfort becomes your new comfort zone. And that's when you find the most fulfilling experiences, the most enriching times of your life are the times when you think, when you go to these places or you experience these things that you might not have thought yourself to have enjoyed before. And so looping back to the original question, it absolutely is worth like going outside of your comfort zone. Yes, there is that anxiety. I cannot completely understand that. I used to be really shy, and it was only through like really pushing myself that I've learned that, you know, yes, there are some stranger danger. We all get told that when we're little, right? But
I have been told that.
most people don't. That's the way I phrase it. Most people don't bite. They don't. Most people are quite kind. They're quite like very welcoming. And so I think you kind of have to put your faith in other people that, yes, maybe you don't fit in, but does that really matter?
Right. So I'm gonna. Right.
You're scaring me.
So I'm a Muslim. You're a Muslim as well. You're a Muslim as well. I'm not sure if it's in the Quran or the Hadith, and it says, Allah, I think it was in the Quran. Allah says, I'm gonna paraphrase because I don't actually remember the verse, that we've created you in different tribes so you can get to know one another, or you know what I mean. So it was intentional in our beliefs that there's different tribes on earth, there's different people on earth, and this is for us to actually interact with one another and learn from each other. Whatever cultures there is, in our religion as well, culture is like, it's a thing that is acknowledged, but it's not cemented. As in like, oh, they're the Arabs, but that means, oh, Arabs, you're the best because the religion came down to you. That means you just happen to be Arabs, and you just need to learn from other people as well. That means our cultures have its pros and cons in the way of thought. So the same with the South Asian community, with the East Asian community. We are here to learn from each other. I really get to learn from one another. And it's been very, very, very helpful for me. Let's say, for example, all my friends that are South Asians, get to really know their way of thinking and pick up the good bits of them. And then the bits that are really in stark difference to Arab like culture, like I got to really think about it and take what I like from it, and take what I
Reflect,
don't
yeah.
like, and then
Yeah.
improve myself as a person. And same thing with the Afro identity and how learning from them the differences and the similarities. And it's always like it's like a knife, always sharpening it, and going
Very
forward
nice
with it.
analogy.
Yeah.
That is very true.
And yeah, that's it.
Yeah, just can I bounce off of that so I don't forget my idea? But yeah, when we first started this episode, I said there were three main things that made me, which were my family, my culture, and my religion. Something else I would add to that list is something that I always say: my values won't change, but if my opinions don't change, there's something wrong with me. Because the more you discover, why would we discover if we're just decided that we won't just learn from anyone else? And you meet these people in your life, and that's on them if they want to be like that, but they're just so set in stone in their beliefs, but not the value side, more of how things should be. And that's just dictated by what they have experienced. But there is so much to learn from other cultures. And for example, that is a very random reference, but there's a podcast called To My Sisters by Renee and Courtney. I met them during a Warwick Africa Summit last year, and I don't remember exactly where they're from, but they're from African descendants. They live in the UK. And I listened to that podcast, and it just opens so many other paths intellectually that I've explored through my culture, but not as much. And sometimes I'm like, oh, but we don't think like that. I like this idea. Why don't we think like that? I'll start thinking like that.
Yeah, perfect. So I just want to add like 2 more points. Is recently I've read the autobiography of Malcolm X, and oh my god, it's like, so like I've always known that there's the black struggle, and it's like I just knew it was a concept, but I didn't really intimately understand it.
Yes.
And now when I've read it and I really got to know his whole thought process, and then being a black, having the black struggle, and then being attacked as a Muslim as well, as a black Muslim. Other than the whole Islamic bit, I know about the Islamophobia. Cool, I've dealt with it. But the black struggle, once I really start to understand, it's like wow.
Intersectionality.
Yeah, I was like, wow. Now I really understand. Like, okay, this is how it shapes the African identity, or the African American identity. It shapes a lot of it that way. And it was really interesting. And then also the similarities with our culture. But to answer your question, should we strive to fit in, or shall we stick to the culture? I think fitting in is the wrong word to use here. I think you should learn.
Yes.
You should keep learning.
The point for me was to give you two extremes.
Yeah.
To see.
So you should learn and then touch base. And then keep it, and then keep on
Back
expanding.
and forth
Yeah.
until you find the right middle. But
Actually,
yeah.
yeah.
Go.
I believe that diversity is the spice of life, and we should keep on.
Wise words.
we should keep on learning from other cultures and have a value of lifelong learning. But I went to a secondary school that was very diverse. Actually, I wouldn't say it was diverse racially. There was not a lot of white people at all. Then I went to a sixth form that was very middle class and white. And I feel like going to that sixth form, I actually learned more about British culture, and it was a very rewarding experience for me. At the end of the day, I do live in this country, and like I need to learn how this country actually works, the culture,
and why it works that
absolutely.
way. Absolutely.
And wow, that was very rewarding for me. It's like doesn't mean that you should touch base every once in a while, because being an Eritrean, there's a whole generation of people who have sacrificed their lives to me to be able to call myself Eritrean.
Very, very true.
So, my Eritrean culture and my identity is very important to me, and of course, like there are things that are very unique to Eritrean culture, values, morals, whatever. A lot of similarities as well. Especially coming to ACS and like seeing different African Caribbean countries, like there's that as well. Yeah. And a lot of people have learned from me as well, as much as me learning from them.
Definitely.
Because I remember during Freshers Week, I met a girl from Bournemouth, I think, and I think she was Nigerian, and she told me I'm the first Eritrean she ever met. And that happened to me quite a bit at work.
You are the first Eritrean I've ever met.
Really? Yeah. But yeah. So it's like I think so even that, me being at work, people learn from me. Eritrean,
definitely.
That's an example of people learning from cultures.
That's very beautiful. Yeah, and the way you present yourself, it whether you want it or not, represents everything you stand for. So it's very important to just present that well in a sense.
I just want to add something really quickly, and then Abraham touched on it. And okay, something that's been bugging me. I've lived here in the UK for six years, right? Came from a culture to a completely different space and environment. Something that's been bugging me is a lot of people say like, "Oh, white people don't have culture." Whatever. That's just a lie. That's just a lie. Like,
yes,
They're the
that's
British
not.
culture.
yeah, there is a British culture. There's
And even now it's trending on TikTok.
Yeah.
The trauma is
Yeah.
trending. The pop culture
Yeah.
is really
and it's been really bugging me. Like don't say this about yourselves. Like don't do that. And people of ethnic minorities, and then they shame the majorities. Like
That's very true.
shame on you, man.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
listen, they have like white people. They have their food like full English breakfast,
They do.
whatever. They have the Sunday roast.
And obviously, like we have to acknowledge, the British Empire and all that. Of course.
But
But
yeah,
and the contributions of the Windrush generation
Yeah.
and the contribution of South Asian people in the UK.
Yeah.
But there was a point where the UK wasn't as diverse as it is
Yeah,
now,
yeah.
and there's
It
still a
was still
culture, there's still
culture.
values, there's
That
still
is very true.
know.
And like when we say white people, I'm not obviously we use it, but I'm not the biggest fan of the term because it just generalizes things.
Yeah.
When you look, I don't know, French culture, English culture, so many
different.
differences and so much to learn from too. Like
Yeah.
we can admit that.
Like for example, like the British way of thought. Some areas I'm like, huh? And some areas I'm like, oh, there's some beauty in this.
Yeah, yeah,
Like the
And I think that's something you find everywhere.
yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, like there's a bit like okay, but sometimes there's just such. So some people phrase it like the coldness of it. Sometimes like actually the stoicism of it. Like there's different things that are just different, and how and that's why I'm gonna use the term British white people that are different than French white people, etc., etc., etc. There is a cultural identity here, and I think it's shameful sometimes that people say, "Oh, people that are no culture, whatever," or like British white people say like, "Oh, I have no culture, I'm here." Whatever. Don't say that, man.
Say that, you have
Like
culture.
all people at the end of the people have different identities, and your identity is your culture. That's it.
Very, very nice. Do you want to add something, Maya? Just your answer. You just touch on this, and then I'll just go around with one question that requires a one-word answer, and then we'll wrap it up.
I think like touching on the point about like white British culture and just general environment. So I went to like a white private school, and I didn't know much about Bengali culture. There was only like 5 like brown South Asian people in the school, and they actually called us Asian squad because we were the only like brown people in school. It was like that. But like I think environment really plays a role on your character and how in touch with culture that you are. So me going to that school for 5 years, I never really understood Bengali culture. I was the only Bengali person, like 1 out of 2 people in my school, and I just never really understood it, or I didn't really feel as connected or close to it because it's like, oh, this is what's trending like within the white culture or the British culture. You don't really feel as connected to it. Then I went to a 6th form that was predominantly like Muslim from like India, Pakistan, Bangladesh. And generally, like culture and religion-wise, it brings you so much closer. Because going into that environment, you learn more about your religion. Like I remember I made my first Bengali friend, then my parents were like, "Oh, like well done, like that's nice. Like you're learning more about your culture." So I think generally, like, don't feel like afraid to just embrace the culture. Like I remember back in the day, generally with culture, it was very like. It wasn't like it would just be like, oh, you're from this country, oh, you're this, or you're that, and now we're trending on TikTok. Like, embrace your culture, you guys.
Yeah, and like,
it's part of
and the
you.
British culture is like it evolved so much that now the British culture is not even like British white culture.
Yes.
There's like the things that are like trending. What happened? Like, what's a man's not hot when that happened? Top Boy is now part of British culture, and like what's it? Huh? Where are you coming first? Like all that like all that stuff. It's not actually. It's now not constricted to British white, and now all of us, the ethnic minority and the white majority, will come together and now become this one big entity of British culture.
That's very true.
I
And
think Top Boy is a very good example of this.
Absolutely.
Bouncing off of that and just going to the French culture, that's something we haven't talked about a lot, and I know a lot about that because I was in a French school my whole life. French is my second language. Now, French culture and North African or generally African culture as a whole, it just became one. Like
Lebanese culture.
in the streets, you say wish. People understand wish. Wish is just a word that came from North African like dialogues, and it actually meant something. It meant what in a sense of wish. And now it just became an exclamation point. you know, in
Because
France.
I don't know if you guys have seen like the French Snapchat, the French snaps,
it's so funny.
and the French snaps.
Yeah.
And they would like whenever like something happens crazy, like car
Yeah,
crashes,
yeah.
they will say wish.
So funny as
They will say wish.
Wish,
I would
wish,
I actually Googled it and say, what does wish mean?
Yeah, wish originally, like Algerians, I think, say, what do you think? Like it's a what type of question, and now they just use it as an exclamation
Because
point.
Arabs, like Arabic, Gulf Arabs ish.
Wish.
Which is like,
But yeah, it's just very beautiful. So I think we've covered a whole lot, and I've absolutely loved this episode. I just want to go around, and it's a bit of promo for the societies because you guys you came here. Give us one word why a fresher should join your society or come to your events. Just one word that describes your society.
What?
One word.
Talented.
Fun.
Emphasis on the fun.
Home.
Oh.
You can't beat that. Like, I think for Bengali society, I would just say like enticing, like just to learn more about it. This is not one word, but with like Nepalese society, I'd say friendly.
Yeah, I mean, Yahya spoke for me, so I'll not answer that question. I'll be a host for this one. But yeah, thank you very, very much, everyone, for coming. It was an absolute pleasure for me to get to know you guys more, your cultures, and I'm sure everyone listening has learned a lot about your societies, your cultures, but also about cultural diversity and how we can form bonds, as we clearly are doing, with people and just learn from them and teach them. So yeah, thank you very, very much, everyone. Thank you. Bye, guys.
Bye bye.
Yeah, we did it.